Thousands of years ago, in the ancient city of Babylon, one of the first written codes of law emerged, designed to regulate everything from crime and punishment to daily life. This was the Code of Hammurabi, a set of 282 laws carved into a massive stone stele by King Hammurabi around 1754 BCE. But behind the seemingly simple phrase, an eye for an eye, lay a brutal system of justice that would shape societies for millennia. The Code of Hammurabi wasn't just a set of rules. It was a harsh reality for anyone who dared to break them. Hammurabi's laws were strict, brutal, and unforgiving. The very first law set the tone: if a man put out the eye of another man, his eye shall be put out. But what exactly does an eye for an eye mean? In ancient Babylon, it wasn't just about matching the crime to the punishment. It was about retribution. The idea was that the punishment should reflect the severity of the crime, and the criminal would pay with equal loss. Let's dive into some of the gruesome details of Hammurabi's laws. These punishments were not only brutal, they were public. When someone committed an offense, they were humiliated, tortured, and sometimes executed in front of the community as a deterrent. One of the first laws on the code reads, if a man has destroyed the eye of a free man, they shall destroy his eye. An eye for an eye, as Hammurabi said. But it wasn't always so simple. Punishments could vary depending on the social class of the victim. The rich and powerful received different justice compared to the poorer slaves. For instance, if a slave were to injure a more free man, the punishment was often severe. A free man could have his eye removed or even suffer death. But if the roles were reversed, the punishment was often less severe. Hammurabi's laws were a reflection of a deeply stratified society. Some crimes, however, were seen as more serious. One of the most brutal punishments was for those who committed theft. If a man steals an ox, he shall be put to death. Stealing an ox was considered such a severe crime in Babylon that the thief would face the death penalty. But theft wasn't limited to animals. If someone burgled a home or they stole crops, the punishment could be equally gruesome. Hammurabi's code didn't just stop at physical punishment, it was psychological too. Public executions were meant to remind people of the consequences. Public humiliation was often part of the punishment. Floggings and branding were common forms of torture meant to scar individuals for life. But Hammurabi didn't just impose death as a punishment. In fact, many laws included brutal physical punishments, such as being branded on the forehead or having hands or feet cut off. These mutilations would not only punish the criminal, but also mark them as forever tainted by their crime. Hammurabi didn't only deal with violent offenses. There were laws governing finance and trade as well. Usury, charging excessive interest on loans, was considered a most severe crime. If a man has received a loan for grain or money and has not repaid it, he shall be sold into slavery until the debt is paid. Those who couldn't pay back debts were often sold into slavery, working as servants until their debts were paid off. But this wasn't a quick fix. It could result in lifelong servitude or worse. Hammurabi's code wasn't just about enforcing punishments. It was about controlling society. The laws were a tool of power, ensuring the king's authority was absolute. They were harsh, but they worked to create a sense of order in a chaotic world. But the true brutality of these laws raises a dark question: at what cost? Fast forward to today, and the question of punishment still looms large in legal systems around the world. While our laws have evolved to emphasize rehabilitation over retribution, the influence of codes like Hammurabi's can still be seen in modern debates on capital punishment and retributive justice. Hammurabi's code represents one of the earliest and most brutal attempts at establishing justice. In his quest for order, he created a system that demanded equal punishment for crime, no matter the cost. It was a world where the punishment was as violent as the crime itself, and the message was clear. The justice was swift, and it was often deadly.